little boxes and numbers on it. It looks a little bit intimidating at first, but once you learn what all the sections are, it's not that bad. This box right here will contain the G code, and we'll load a file in there in just a moment. The G code is written with another program that we're not covering in this video. This program takes the G code and goes from there. Over in this area, you can see that there are X, Y, and Z, and a 0 for our different accesses on our machine. And the number associated with it is the measurement that's currently assigned. Like 2.55 is the X position. It's 2.55 inches from the home position. And the Y would be minus 3.4420 inches from the home position. If you would like to change your measurements, your native units, you can come to the config area here and change it for metric if you want to use metric instead. Over here is a little preview window, and when we load our G code, you will see an image of what is to be cut in this area, and you can twiddle it and move it around. These are the actual controls to start the machine and stop it and pause it and reset it, as well as some other commands that will help you to run your machine. This box here shows you the current tool that you'll be using. So if you're using an end mill 0.25, it will say so here. Also, during tool changes, it will give you the next tool in line in the status bar here. This box right here is our feed rate, and we can make the machine go faster or slower by manually moving the plus and minus sign. And you might want to slow the machine down a bit if you're cutting into things that are more critical. Over here is the spindle speed. If you have a programmable spindle, you can adjust how many revolutions per minute it spins. So I'm going to show you how to load up a sample piece of G code that's included with this Mach3 software. Let's go to File, Load G code here. And we're going to look in the Mach3 folder found in our C directory. We're going to look down through till we find a folder called G code, which is here. And then under all files, make sure that it is set for all files, like mine is here. And you'll see a roadrunner.tap, and that is just a demo piece of G code. So let's go ahead and open that. Well, you can see that a bunch of numbers and symbols have showed up here in this G code box. This is actually the line numbers that will control how our machine is run. And you can see over here in the preview window a outline of a Roadrunner. So this will be the actual live preview that will refresh and show you actually where your cutter is currently positioned. If I was to reset this button right here, this is the emergency button, and the machine always starts with the emergency button on so that everything is off on the machine. So when you start the machine up, you must reset the machine first, okay? Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and click the cycle button here, and you can see that these numbers are starting to move, and you're also seeing the crosshairs in the preview showing what part of the graphic is currently being worked on. And this little arrow right here in the preview window, this green arrow, shows the current location of our Z-axis, and our Z-axis is actually the spindle that's moving up and down to plunge it into the material and then take it out. So you can see that we're about 4 inches on our X and Y, and our Z is currently in the material 0.10 inches. These G-code commands are processed one by one, and you can see it does one at a time. It moves to that location and then it processes the next one. You can use the stop and the feed hold to pause if you'd like. You can also increase the speed at which the cutter cuts by clicking on these, or you can reset to the default like this. I'm going to go ahead and stop this preview for just a moment. If you were to go ahead and move the tool manually using your keyboard, you can use the up and down key as well as the left and right arrow key to manually move your position, like I'm doing right here. You can see that the Y is currently going in a positive direction. If I hit the down arrow, it goes in a negative direction. And if I hit the right arrow, it will make my X go in a positive direction, and left would be a negative direction for the X. And then to move the Z axis, the actual spindle up and down, you can use the page up and page down. Now, if this machine were actually hooked to a CNC machine, my actions on the keyboard would actually move the machine around. If I want to return home, and I had mentioned in another video that every machine has a home position, if this were a piece of wood that I was wanting to cut, most generally you would reference one of the corners or dead center as a home position, and that home position is where you would start and stop every time. I like to select this corner down here as my home position, and when it's in the home position, everything is at 0. If you look up here at my X position, I can click this button right here and it will automatically 0 that as well as the other ones. And you can also tell that the crosshair has come down to my lower left-hand corner, which I like to call 0. And then if I start my code back up, it would start from that position. So, you know, this software is very useful, even if you don't have a machine, just to learn about how to set this up, and you can actually watch a simulation of a cut, which is pretty neat. I do encourage you to go back and watch our videos to learn more. You can see that underneath these tabs there are many more things that you can play with. You can set up tool paths and do manual commands. You can set up offsets for fixtures. There's also a settings tab which will help you to set your machine up for the first time as well as tweak it. And then there's a diagnostics tab which is useful in troubleshooting and setting up a controller board for the first time with this software. You can actually see what pins are on as far as the parallel port pins by looking at these input and output signals. So I think we're going to leave it here for now.